Namaskar, welcome to the CTET Mathematics online classes. I am Manohar H, Senior Research Fellow, RI Mysore. So in this session, we are going to discuss about some of the problems based on arithmetic concepts. So especially in this session, we are going to talk about the basic concepts of ratio, proportion, average and percentage. We will also see in this session, so how these concepts can be applied while solving the mathematics problems. Okay, so coming to the next. So if you analyze the paper 1, paper 2 mathematics, in the previous CTET examination, so we can see that for these concepts, they have given weightage as like this. Okay. So that means, every year in previous CTET paper 1, paper 2, there are 1-2 questions they have been asking from these concepts. Okay. So that is what important. So that means, so every year they have been asking 1-2 questions. So you can also expect from these concepts this year also probably 1-2 questions from these concepts. So now, so next. So let us try to see now. So the previous question has been like this. Okay. Now the question is, what number should be subtracted from 50, 61, 92 and 117 so that they become a proportional? Now if you see the question like this, so what is the concept that have been given here? So that means what is the, can you see that what is the concept that given here? That they are asking from the concept of the proportion. So let us try to understand what is the concept of the proportion. Okay, so the proportion is nothing but where the two ratios are equal. So it is a statement, proportion is a statement where when we say that both the two ratios are equal, then we say that the given ratios are in the form of proportion. So that is the definition of the proportion. Let us see that definition. So A is to B equal to C is to D here. So what is the A is to B here? Here A is to B is the one ratio where we are trying to compare and comparison of the same quantity, and C is to D is the one of the ratio. So when we say that these two ratios are in the proportion, when both the ratios are equal, then we say that these are the these given ratios are in the form of the proportion. Okay, so then we say that okay, the means like product of extremes is equal to product of means. That means A and D we call it, these are the extremes of the ratio, and B and C call the means of the proportion. Okay, so now let us, by applying this formula, let us try to solve this question, previous question. Now read the question here. What number should be subtracted from the 50, 61, 92 and 117 so that they become a proportional? The given numbers are in the proportion, they are not in the proportion. What we have to, if we subtract the sum of the given options one of the number, then these numbers become a proportional. Okay, so now see what are the given options here. The option A is 23, option B is the 14, option C is the 17, option D is the 19. Okay, so now what is the formula we can apply here? So remember the proportion formula. Okay, so whether it is A by B or C by D, okay, or A is to B or C is to D. Okay, so when we say that the given numbers are in the proportion, when A is to B, proportion C is to D. Okay, so this we call it as a proportion. Okay, so now if you see the question here, 50, 61, 92, 117, 4 numbers. So let us assume that, okay, let us assume that A is equal to 50. Let us assume that A is equal to 50, A is equal to 50, B is equal to 61, C is equal to 92 and D is equal to 117. Okay, but so what we have to identify which is the number should be subtracted. Okay, so let the number be subtracted. Let us assume that it is x. So after subtracting x, the numbers will become, we can write it as a 50 minus x, 61 minus x, 92 minus x and 117 minus x. Okay, so now what we will write it, let us write it in the form of proportion formula. So that means, so A by B is equal to C by D. Okay, so now what is the A here? 50 minus x. What is the B here? 61 minus x. What is the C here? 92 minus x. What is the D here? 117 minus x. Now let us do the cross multiplication and let us see what is the value we will get it here. Okay, so now if you do the cross multiplication, that becomes 50 minus x into 117 minus x is equal to 61 minus x into 92 minus x. So when you multiply both, you will get 50 into 117, that becomes a 5850, and x minus x into minus x into minus x plus x square, and minus x 117, and minus x when you multiply with the 50, that becomes a 117 plus 50x, so that becomes a 171 x. Okay, so that is the value of LHS side. Similarly, when you do 61 minus x into 92 minus x, when you multiply 61 into 92, we will get the 5612. Similarly, when you multiply 61 minus x, you will get it 61 minus x, 61 x. Okay, and then again when you multiply 92 minus x, we will get the 92 minus x. Okay, so when you add these things, we'll get the minus 153 x plus x minus x into minus x plus x square. So when you multiply, we'll get the LHS side this much, and RHS side this much. Now what we have to do next, let us cancel the both the sides, x square and x square. Then we'll be remain 5850 minus 167x and is equal to 5612 minus 153x. Okay, so now let us find out what is the x value here. So now if you observe here in the LHS side, we have the 167x, and right hand side we have the 153x. Okay, let us bring it to the same terms into left hand side. So what will become when we bring minus 153x into left hand side? It will become the positive plus 153x. Okay, so now we have the like terms in LHS side and constants are in another RHS side. Okay, now minus 167x plus 153x, if you simplify this one, we will get it the minus 14x. Okay, so now similarly when you simplify 5612 minus 5850, we will get the minus 238. So now from this, when we again if you simplify, we will get the x value. So the x value is equal to minus 238 by minus 14. Minus get will cancel, and 14 ones are 14, 17s are, it will become a 238. So therefore x is equal to 7. So which is the option is there here? C is the correct option. So now, what is the question here? What number should be subtracted from 50, 61, 92 and 117 so that it becomes a proportional? So if you subtract the 17, then the given numbers will become a proportional. So this is a one way of identifying the identifying the whether the given numbers are proportional or not in order to subtract the give from the given numbers. Okay, so that is the one thing. So let the remember remember like what we have done exactly. Try to remember the concept of the proportion, what is the formula of the proportion, and apply given values into the in that proportion formula, and then try to simplify, we will get the solution. The next, coming to this is a concept which we had discussed previously, and then coming to the next one, the question is like this: the fractional equivalent of 57.12% is, the given options are 359 by 347, option B is 357 by 625, option C is 347 by 625, option D is 349 by 625. Okay, so now let us see what is the they're asking what they're asking us to do here. The fractional equivalent of 57.12% is, so that means the which concept they're trying to see here. Let us try to see percentage concept. Okay, so now what they're trying to see, asking us to identify, they're given in the percentage they are given. Okay, so that we need to convert into fraction, we need to convert into. How we can apply, let us see now. Okay, so now percentage means per 100, so that means it is, we can say that 1 by 100. Okay, so where percent is the denominator will be the 100 and numerator is the 1 by 1 will be there. Okay, so that means numerator is the rate per cent. Okay, so that is the meaning of the percentage. Now formula, if you look at the percentage formula, A percent is equal to A by 100. So that means in the case of if A is equal to any number like 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that means A percent is equal to A by 100. So that means if suppose let us take A is equal to 8 percent means 8 by 100. So if you take 9% means 9 by 100. So like that. Okay. So now what is the in the question they are given 57.12%. So that means we can write it as 57.12 by 100. Okay. So this decimals we can percentage means we have to multiply with the 100. So then it will become a 5712 by 100. 10,000. Okay, so now when you simplify this one, 5,712 by 10,000, we'll get the 357 by 625 in the simplest one. We can also start from the second. Okay, 2. So when you simplify like this, we'll get the answer 357 by 625. So now let us see the what is the option which is the option is the correct option here. 357 by 625. Option B is the correct. Okay, simply what we have to multiply with given number with the 100. We multiply with the 100 and then simplify, we'll get the answer. So for percent of two fraction, always divided the divided the given percentage by 100 and simplify, we'll get the solution. Now one more things, when they give fraction and they'll ask you to convert into percentage, in such a cases what we have to multiply with the 100. Now suppose a fraction they are given like a by b is equal to in like 5 by 6 or 7 by 8. Okay, so what we have to in the given fraction we need to convert into percentage. How do you convert percentage? We will apply this formula like a by b into 100 percentage. Now in some cases they may ask like convert the percentage into fraction. So in that case only we will divide by the 100. So when they ask the fraction, when they give in the form of fraction, they will ask you to convert into fraction percentage. In such a cases we will multiply with the 100. But when they give in a problem in the a percentage and then they'll ask you to convert into fraction, in such a case we divide by the 100. So these are the two formulas which we need to remember when we're trying to solve the percentage problems in the paper CTET paper 1 and paper 2. The next question is express 0.33 as percentage. Okay, so which we are discussing in the previous formula. So in what formula we can, this is very easy question. By seeing the question itself we can identify the answer. So what we have to do, they are given in terms of decimals they are given. So decimals we need to the given decimal we need to convert into percentage. Okay, so that is the question concept of the question here. So express 0.33 as percentage. The given options are 30%, 33%. Option B is a 300%. Option D is the 3%. Okay, so how do you do that now? Just simply remember the formula here. Okay, so whenever they give the decimal and asking you to convert into percentage, the given decimal we need to multiply with the 100. So then the product will come converted into percentage. Now what is the given decimal here? 0.3. So 0.3 if you multiply with the 100, what will become? 3300. So after digit, how many after decimal point how many digits are there? 2 digits are there. So therefore we'll put the point after the 2 digits, then it will become a 33%. So very easy one. Okay, so for example like if you see that, okay, so remember whenever the questions asked like this, okay, when given in the decimal and convert into percentage, just simply multiply given decimal into 100, then we'll get the percentage. Similarly, like for example if we take 0.25, okay, 0.25 if you multiply with the 100 it will become 25%. Similarly if 0.4 if you multiply with the 100 it will become 40%. Similarly 1.25 if you multiply with the 100 it will become 125%. So here after, remember always like after the decimal point how many digits are there. Okay, so in the product also those many digits we need to move from the right side. Okay, then add the percentage symbol, then so it will convert it into percentage. To change any decimal into percentage, just to multiply with the 100 or move the decimal points 2 places to the right. Now next concept, the next question is, the question is like this: the 40% of 100 minus 20% of 300 is, okay, the option A is 16, the option B is 20, option C is 64, option D is 140. So what is the question? So again this is a question based on the concept of the percentage. Okay, so now the question is, read the question, 40% of 100 minus 20% of the 300. Okay, so now what we have to do first, we have to identify. Okay, So that means they're asking the concept, they're asking a% of b is equal to a by 100 into b. So that means in terms of here they're given 40 and 20. Okay, so for that we need to identify what is the a% of b is equal to a into 100 a by 100 into b. Okay, so here let us try to solve in the first within the bracket value. So then we try, after the solving the bracket, then we try to solve the next one. Okay, so in the bracket what they have given, 20% of 300. So that means 20% of means it is a multiplication. Okay, so that means when you try to do this, okay, so that means 20 into 20%, okay, into that means 20% means 20 by 100. Okay, so the into what is the value, half means multiplication into 300. Okay, so these zeros will get cancelled, then remaining will be the 60. Okay, so that is the 1. So now what is the value of the 20% of 300 is 60. So now what they are asking here, 100 minus 20% of 30. So 100 minus what is the value of the 20% of 30? 60. We got it. So when you subtract from 60 from the 100, we'll get the 40. So this is the value of, this value is the 40. Okay, let us keep it. Now what we have to do, the question is, now again they're asking 40% of this much value. So that means now if you do 40% of 40, okay, so that means 40 into percentage means 40 by 100. Okay, so if you simplify this one, we'll get the 16. Okay, this one will get cancelled, 4 4 is 16. So this is the answer. Okay, so our value is the 16. So therefore 40% of 100 minus 20% of 300 is the 16 value. Okay, so the what is the, which is the option A here? 16 A. Option A is the correct one. Okay, so you don't need to do the step by step. Directly we can also just by seeing the numbers itself in mentally also we can calculate by seeing the question itself. So just simply take it, 20, apply the 20% of 30 and we'll get the value. So then the same value again, 40% of whatever the value we get it, that apply, then simplify, we'll get the answer. Okay, so now, so similarly, convert 20% of 300. Okay, so if you see 20% of 3, so 20% means 20% we can write it as 20 by 100. Okay, 20 by 100 into 300. So when you solve, we'll get the 60. So we have to remember some of the 10% of number means a divided by 10, and 1% means 1 by 100, so 1 by 100 into 1 by 100, so like that. Okay, so there are some of the examples. 30% 200 means 60, 25% of 160 means 40, 40% of 250 means 100. So whenever they ask the questions simplify first within the bracket and then simplify out of the bracket, then we'll get the answer. Next one. The next question is, a toy is sold for 1,200 rupees and the profit is 20%. Find the cost price. Okay, so here they're asking concept based on the again we have to apply the percentage, but we have to apply the concept of the profit here. Okay, so now a toy is sold for the 1,020 rupees. Okay, so what is what is the meaning of that one? That is the sold means it is a selling price. Okay, so what is the selling price here? Selling price is a given selling price is a 1,020 rupees. So when the person is sold this a toy, so he got it, how much profit he got it? 20% profit he got it. So how much, what is the percentage he got it? 20% profit we got, but we don't know what is the cost price of that item. So what we need to identify, we need to identify the cost price of that item. So okay, now the formula is to identify the cost price. Okay, so cost price is equal to selling price into 100 by 100 plus 100 plus profit percentage. Okay, so now here in the given, if you see here, okay, what the selling price is 1,020 and profit percentage 20%, and the cost price is apply these values into the formula, we'll get it. So selling price is 1,020 rupees and multiply with the 100, we'll get the 100. Profit percent is the 20 rupees. Okay, so when you simplify this one, we'll get the 850 rupees. Okay, so remember the formula when they ask you to identify the profit percentage, profit by cost price into 100. Similarly, when you ask when they ask to identify the cost price, okay, selling price into 100 divided by 100 plus profit percentage. When you apply these values, we'll get the answer. Very simple one. Okay, now next one is, the question is like this. average of three numbers is 9. Average of first three numbers is 9 and average of first two numbers is 12. Find the third number. So the option is option A is 2, option B is 3, option C is 1, option D is the 4. Now let us try to read the question, try to identify what we need to identify here. So what is the concept here applying, we need to apply here the average concept you need to apply. So what is the meaning of that average means, sum of the total observations by, sum of the observations by total number of the observations. Okay, so that is the mean of the average formula. Okay, so average is equal to sum of all the numbers divided by number of all numbers. Okay, so what here they are asking average of three numbers, that means is 9. So average they have given here, we don't, so average they are given in the question. We need to identify three numbers. Okay, so that means total numbers they have given, we don't know what is the sum of, what are those of the sum of the numbers, that we need to identify. So what we can do directly, simply if you multiply also 9 into 3 will get the 27. Okay, for similarly for the average of first two numbers is 12 times, that means average they have given, average is equal to sum of numbers by total number of numbers, so number of numbers we have given. Okay, so average they are given 9. Okay, we don't know what is this one, they are given total 3. Okay, so when you multiply 9 into 3 we'll get the 27. Okay, directly we can also do like this. Okay, then average of first two numbers, here also same, like average of first two numbers, average of first two numbers is 12. Okay, they are given, we don't know what are those numbers, let us assume that x, and what, how many numbers they are given, how many numbers of this average, two numbers. Okay, when you multiply this one 12 into 24 will, x value will get the 24. Okay, so now what we need to do after identifying, so what we supposed to do, so find the third number we need to identify. So how do you identify the third number? So third number is equal to total of 3 minus total of first two. So we got it, total of that, we got it, so we got it total of that number of three numbers and total of the two numbers. Okay, now we need to identify what is the third number we need to identify. So total of 3 is how much, 27, total of first two numbers is the 24. So when you subtract 27 from 24 we'll get the 3, will get the, so what is the third number is the, third number is the 3, option B is the correct one. So if, so you don't need to calculate this much, directly we can apply the, by saying the, if you remember this formula, whenever they ask average changes, total changes equal to average changes, when you ask them to identify the total, directly this formula we can apply average into number. So we have given the average and they are given the number also they are given, average also they are given. When you directly apply, we'll also directly will get the, we don't need to calculate this much. This is the shortcut which we can use in such a cases. Okay, if average and count are known, then find the total. In such a cases, total is equal to average into number. So for example, like average of 4 numbers is 10. Okay, then what will become the total? So when you multiply 10 into 4 we will get the product answer 40. Similarly, average of 5 numbers is 8. Okay, so there are 5 numbers, the average is 8. Okay, we don't know, we need to identify what is the total of that 8 numbers. Okay, so in such a cases, just multiply 8 into 5 will get the answer. Okay, we given the number. Okay, what is the given average? Okay, when you multiply both we'll get the total. Okay, so remember these things directly. When you remember these kind of questions we can solve very easily. The next question is, the question is like this. The ratio is A is to B equal to 2 is to 3 and B is to C is equal to 4 is to 5. Okay, find the A is to B is to C. That is what we need to identify. So they are given the ratio of A is to B and they are given the ratio of B is to C as a 4 is to 5 and A is to B as a 2 is to 3, and then we need to identify what is the A is to B is to C. This is what we need to identify. So let us see what are the given options here. The option A is 6 is to 12 is to 15. Option B is 8 is to 12 is to 15. Option C is 6 is to 14 is to 15. Option D is 2 is to 3 is to 5. Okay, so now let us see one by one. So let us try to apply the concept of, so concept of the ratio they have applied. What is the concept of the ratio? Ratio means comparing any any two quantities, comparing any two quantities. So the comparison of the two quantities is called a ratio, representing of comparison of those two quantities. So we call it as it is a ratio. Okay, so we represent ratio in the form of x is to y or x by y. Okay, so that is the meaning of the basic meaning of the ratio. Okay, now coming to the question, let us see. So what is the given? A is to B here 2 is to 3. What is the value here? B is to C, they are given 4 is to 5. So what we need to identify? We need to identify A is to B is to C. We need to. So if you observe from the question here, the B value is 3, and again in B is to C, the B value is ratio is there given. Ratio is given 4. Okay, so they are not the similar. So we need to make it a middle term. So that means this term we need to make it a common term. We need to make it. So how we can make it? Okay, so just by multiplying with the 4 we can make it. Okay, or we can take the LCM and we also can make it, or just multiplying with the number, the given number also we can multiply. Now, so for example, A is to B is equal to 2 is to 3. So to make it this one, the B value, what are the 3 is, okay, and 4 there again. If you multiply with the 4, it will become 8 is to 12. Okay, similarly in the B is to C, the value what is the 4 is to 5 they have given. Okay, this if you multiply with the given B ratio 3, it will become 4 3s are 12, 5 3 5s are 15. Okay, so now we got it the A value as 8 and B value we got it the 12 and 12 same. Okay, and then C value we got it 15. Okay, so this is, so what they are trying to ask here, find the A is to B is to C. What is the here? Let us see in the option. So 8 is to 12 is to 15. Okay, so option B is the correct for that. This is the correct option. So whenever this kind of questions ask, whether you find the LCM or you multiply directly the B value with the B value, make it a common value B value, and then we'll get the answer. Okay, this is a 8 is to 2 is to 5 the correct answer. Or if you remember the formula, if A is to B is equal to M is to N, if B is to C is equal to P is to Q, okay, then A is to B is to C will become M into P is and N into P and N into Q. So that means if you just multiply 2 into 4, okay, and then N into P, okay, and then if you multiply N into Q, okay, then we'll get the values also. So that means we need to multiply 2 into 4 and then 4 into 3 and 3 into 5. So if you multiply this one also, directly we'll get the answer. If you remember this formula in such a cases, if you apply directly we'll get the answer. We don't need to take the LCM. Okay, now the next question is convert 0.33 into percentage. Okay, so this is also based on the percentage concept. So percentage is nothing but per 100. Okay, so denominator will be the 100 and numerator will be the rate per cent. Okay, so A percentage is nothing but A by 100. So that means percentage they are given. Okay, so we need to decimal number they are given, we need to convert into percent. So when you multiply with the 100, it will become a 33%. Okay, option C is the correct answer. So with this, there is another concept. To sum of money or in the ratio is 8 is to 13. The first sum is 48. Find the total. Okay, so now what we need to we need to comparing. So the ratios they are given, the comparing concept we need to apply here. So what is the what is the question here? To sum of money or in the ratio 8 is to 13. The first sum is 48 and find the total. Okay, so now let us see that. Okay, now what is the given ratio here? 8 is to 13. What is the first sum? 8 part they are given 48. Okay, so if 8 parts are 48, okay, then what will become the one part? Okay, so if you calculate this one, cross multiplication if you do, we'll get the 6 rupees. The second sum is how many what is the total of the seconds? 48. Okay, so when you multiply with that will become a 78. rupees. Okay, so that means 13. Okay, second one 13 parts, 13, so per part is 6. Okay, so 13 into 6 will become a 78. So what is the total we need to identify? Total is 48 plus 70, 48 plus 70. If you simplify this one, if you add, answer will become a 126. Okay, so what is the option here? Option C is the 126 rupees. Okay, so what they're trying to ask is, just see. Okay, so there are given some of the money in the ratio 8:13, and the first sum is 48, and what is the total of that one? So we know only the first sum, what is the ratio, and then second sum we don't know. We need to identify that first. Okay, so therefore if 8 parts are the 48 rupees, then try to find out for the what is the each part. Okay, so how do you identify the each part? So just dividing 48 by 8, we'll get the part 1. Okay, so now for how many parts the second part has given here? They are asking 13 parts. So what we have to do, so identify the cost of the 13 part, we need to multiply with the each part. Okay, so when you multiply that one, we'll get the 70. So now they're asking total, so that means part 1 and part 2 is total they're asking. So when you add addition, when you do, we'll get the answer. So that is the answer. C is the correct answer for this. Okay, so now similarly, like whenever in the questions we need to compare like this, A is to B and C is to do, just do the cross multiplication. That means like AD and BC, if we do also, if AD is greater than BC, then ratio is the greater. Okay, now the next question is, divide 1664 in the ratio 5:3. The options are like this: 1040 and 624. 1000, option B is 1000 and 664. Option C is 1050 and 654. Option D is none. Okay, let us try to see. Okay, so divide in the ratio. If amount is X, divide into A is to B is to C parts. Okay, then the first first part will become AX by A plus B plus C. The second part become BX by A plus B plus C. And the third part will become CX by A plus B plus C. Always divide the total amount in the ratio of the given parts. So now how many parts they have given here? Only 2 parts. Okay, isn't it? So now let us see that. What is the total ratio of the given total ratio is, the ratio is given ratio is a 5:3. So the total will become a 8. Okay, now that means first part is a 5 parts. Okay, so divide. So what we have to do here, we need to divide the given number with the first part. Okay, so that means 1600 into, if we divide 5 by 8, we'll get the 1040. In the second part again, how many parts? There are 3 parts, so that means 3 by 8. Okay, so this is the formula we are applying here. So 1664 into 3 by 8, so we'll get the 624. Now what is the your value? 1040 and 624, which is the option is correct. Option A is the correct option. Okay, so what we have to do, they are given in the fraction, ratios given the ratios are given here. We need to identify the total of the ratio, that is the 8, and part by part, there are 2 parts they are given. So apply this formula in the when they give, like when they ask you to identify the first part of the total, then follow like this, do the calculation like this, we'll get the answer. So to find the total ratio, multiply total amount with each part and divide by the total ratio. So then that is a concept to remember, shortcut. Then we will be able to solve this kind of problems. Now the last one is, the next question is, the average weight of 3 women increases by 4 kgs after replacing one woman of 100 kg. What is the new woman weight we need to identify? The options are like that. A is 104, the B is 103, the C is 112, D is 115. So let us try to understand the question. What is the they're trying to ask here? The average weight of 3 women increases by 4 kg after replacing one woman of 100 kgs. Okay, so that means if average increase by X, the total increase the X into number. Okay, so whatever the number it is increasing. So similarly, let us see that now. Average increase by 4 kgs for 3 women. For 3 women, how much it is increasing? For 4 kgs. Okay, so what is the total will become here? 4 into 3, total 12 kgs will be increasing. If X is increases, again the the total also will increase. If Y X is decreases, the total also will decrease. Okay, so the increasing because of the new woman. What is the new woman weight here? 100 kgs. Now how much it is increased? 12. So therefore the total is 112 kg. So what is the option here? Option C is the correct one. Okay, see, like if average increases by x, the total also x into that number. If average increase by x, total increases by x into that number. For example, if average is increased by 4, the number equal to 3, the total increase 4 into 3 is equal to 12. So that means if persons are increasing, the kgs also will increase. So in this session we have discussed the concept of the ratio, and we also try to solve the problems based on that concept of the ratio. We have seen some of the concept, how we can identify the ratio for the given numbers, and we also discussed the concept of proportion. So the formula of proportion, AD is equal to B, so that means product of the extreme is equal to product of the means. So when the both the ratios become equal, then we say that the given ratios are in the form of the proportion. Okay, we have also seen that, okay, when the 4 numbers are given, so how we can make it into proportion. Okay, to make it a proportion, what is the number we need to subtract. We also seen the concept of the average. Okay, so and then we also seen the concept of based on the some of the problems based on the percentage. Okay, so these are the shortcuts and formulas. Remember, then you would be able to solve in the CTET paper 1, paper 2 questions based on these 4 concepts. And thank you.